Marley.
Good evening. Thank you. Would like to call to order the Trotwood-Madison work session to order May 2nd, 2019, here in the Trotwood-Madison City School Board District offices. Mrs. Allen, will you call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman?
Yes.
Mr. Scarce?
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes.
And Ms. Moore?
Yes, the meeting is now called to order. Please join us in a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The mission of the Trotwood-Madison City Schools is to graduate all students prepared to excel in a global society with a commitment to lifelong learning by guaranteeing a challenging curriculum facilitated by an innovative and dedicated staff, community participation, and state-of-the-art resources in a stimulating atmosphere. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. I need a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and second. Any questions? Any changes?
Where is the personnel agenda?
What we'll do is we are going to go down. It is not on this agenda. It is part of number 3 with the information that the board requested from the superintendent.
Okay.
All right? So, Mrs. Allen, will you call the roll? Thank you, Mr. Scarce.
Yes. Mrs. Bozeman?
Yes.
Mr. Scarce?
Yes.
Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes.
And Ms. Moore?
Yes, the agenda has been adopted. Okay, next up is recognition. I tell you, this is like our favorite part, trust and believe. Okay, board. All right. I'll have Mr. Superintendent and Treasurer please join us. Thank you. Good evening, all. How's everybody doing tonight? Fine. I tell you, we are so excited. When it comes to being a board member, I can say for myself, and I think I can speak on behalf of the board, this is our favorite part. Tonight, we get to recognize our students. Our students have done some amazing things. Our students have had some huge victories. Our students have had huge triumphs. And tonight, it gives us great pleasure to be here to recognize them and their families for what they have accomplished. So we're going to get started. And first of all, I would like to recognize a young man. This young man is 11 years old. He's a 5th grader at Westbrook Village Elementary School. His name is Caden, is it Dethridge? Dethridge, thank you. In December, Caden was unable to wake his mother. Caden quickly called 911. He realized there was a possibility his mother could choke. So he tilted her head to the side. What Caden didn't realize, his mother was suffering from a stroke. Caden, will you please come up? Is he here tonight? He's not here this evening? Okay. 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 Would you please come up? Yes. Thank you. 8-year-old kid. This is Caden's grandmother. Thank you so much. And on behalf of the district, first and foremost, we're going to award Caden with an Achiever Outstanding Student pin. Trotwood-Madison City Schools Certificate of Recognition. Trotwood-Madison City School Board of Education recognizes Caden Dietrich for his heroic actions in a medical emergency situation that resulted in saving his mother's life. Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing us to take care of Caden during the day and for his academic needs. Thank you. Next up, Science Fair, and I have the honor of bringing up the Honorable Myra Bozeman, and she will do the recognition and acknowledgments for the Science Fair. Thank you.
Okie dokie. So with great pleasure, I get to talk about the Science Fair. We had one high school student and 2 middle school students who advanced beyond the building level of this year's Science Fair competition. Brooklyn Messer, Angel Odumodu, and Victor Odumodu qualified and participated for the Montgomery County Science Fair. All students qualified for the district level at Central State University. Victor earned special recognition from the Naval Academy in the category of Geoscience at the Montgomery County Science Fair. Angel earned an excellent rating at the Montgomery County Science Fair, and she received fair rating at the West District Science Fair. Brooklyn earned a superior rating at both fairs and qualified for the State Science Fair, which will be held on May 11th. So we'd like to call forward Brooklyn, Angel, and Victor.
Yeah, we're gonna recognize everyone.
Okay, so this one wasn't listed on the paper, but
Next up, the Honorable Norman Scares will recognize and acknowledge our middle school sports teams.
All right, good evening, everybody. We are going to recognize the eighth grade girls and boys basketball team and the seventh grade boys basketball team for the 2018-2019 school year. We're going to start with the eighth grade girls basketball team, who were 16-1 in the regular season champions and tournament champions. Let's give them a hand. And if their coaches are here, please come up with them. Please come up with them so they can be recognized and you can talk about your athletes. Come on up.
Let's give the coaches a hand.
Okay. Okay. And if the coach wants to take an opportunity to just talk about the team and some of your players, come on over.
Again, my name is Coach Dwayne Hutchinson, Coach Wolf, affectionately known as, and I get the honorary duties. It was a democratic process, and I lose, of course, to come up here and stand before you all alone, no help from the other coaches. But this year it absolutely was a wonderful year, and this was personally me, my 30th year coaching basketball, and I'm not that old. But, and to come back after coaching 8 years of college basketball, to come back and coach with this wonderful staff of first, Miss Brandy Hughley, who keeps everything together. Next, Mr. Brian Dunson, who knows so much about the game, has so many connections about the game of basketball. The head seventh grade coach was Mr. Damian Parker, and his knowledge and his accountability, his always being wherever you need him. He's a perfect example for a young man to lead young people. And then, of course, the head coach of the eighth grade team, Miss Nia Nolan, and this eighth grade team, I said it at our banquet, but what they did this year was really remarkable, and it's something that hasn't been done since the last time I coached middle school. And they went undefeated, and to come back for her to now be the coach coaching with her is really just short of being amazing. And with that being said, with the wonderful staff, it just was to have these young ladies buy in and day out to what we were asking them to do. They never got caught up into individual stuff. They never were selfish. It was always about us. It was always about us. And one more quick thing about Coach Nia Nolan, she had a baby during the season. That just goes to show you just how dedicated she was, and when she had, yes. But these young ladies, they were a spitting image of her. So even when she had to leave for a while, they kept plugging away. And we just said, hey, nothing changes. We just continue to fight, we continue to grind, we continue to learn each and every day. And every practice, that's something that we was determined as a staff and as a team that we were going to get better every day. Every day we were going to get better at something. And they accepted the challenge. They wanted to go undefeated. And rumor has it that there was some kind of wager, but yes, but hey, undefeated. I was supposed to cut my beard. That's what undefeated. So, but with that being said, one loss is one loss, but they did win the tournament. They did win the tournament, and I'm so proud of these young ladies, as we all are. And guess what? If we're proud of them, they're proud of themselves. You should be extremely proud because they represented this school and this district top notch. Thank you.
All right, so the Trotwood-Madison City School Certificate of Recognition wishes to recognize Nia Nolan. Congratulations. Brian Dunson. Dwayne Hutchinson. And for the players, Larissa Abrams. Congratulations. Jemiah Bryant. Okay. Would you like to accept the award on her behalf? Okay. Kirsten Robinson.
Thank you, sir. Another 10, all right?
Y'all didn't tell them they was getting these awards this evening. Maya Keith.
You can just stay, you can just stay right there. All right. Congratulations.
All right. Zanaya Laws Pfeiffer. Yes, sir. Jayla Jordan.
Yeah. What's interesting is a lot of our student athletes, they're athletes year-round. So, again, track team, right?
AAU basketball.
AAU basketball, yes.
Jayshana Lauderdale. All right. Jalen Dixon. Congratulations. Raven Ray Redmond. And Morgan Chandler. All right, our 8th grade girls basketball team.
Give them a hand. We're gonna get a photo of the girls basketball team. Are your parents here? Any parents? Parents? Oh, parents, we're gonna get you in a picture if that's okay. Parent media, all right? Come on, parents.
They're everywhere.
And do we need to squeeze in? If we do, we can. All right. I'll take it for you. We really want our parents here. Oh, there you go. Yeah, okay.
All right, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Let me take one for this lady here. Sorry. All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
All right, our 7th grade boys basketball team with a 17-0 regular season. Let's give that a hand. Regular season champions and tournament champions. And at this time, we're going to do a little different. If the coach will come up first, say some nice things about your team and your players, and then we'll introduce the players. And as we call their names, have them come up and stand up front. So if the coach will come now.
I kind of didn't have no type of speech for me for the day. A little bit about this team that I coached this season. It's a special group. For instance, basically everybody on this team had over a 3.0 grade point average. So give them a round of applause. Second off, they came into the gym ready to work, and that's kind of like, you know, today's game ain't too many kids ready to come in and work. So that kind of shocked me. They came in and really want to learn and really want to understand the game of basketball more than anything. My fault, I'm a little bit nervous here, you know. These kids are going to be probably the next team, the next class, other than, you know, with Amari and them. They're probably going to be the next class that's going to come through and really take a stand and really try to, you know, come in and really make an improvement. Not even improvement, but a stamp in the Trotwood. By me saying that, it's like, you know, Amari and them really came in, and I know Amari since Boo, you know, rest in peace to him. I've been knowing Amari since he was little, and I kind of saw he was special as well, and that kind of reminded me of this class. This class is really special, and I think they can make the same impact as Amari and them did. Our season was true. It wasn't even nowhere near close. We won by 30 every single game, and that's not even, you know, to be, you know, boasting ourselves. You know, these kids really have a lot of talent. They really come to play every single day. That's from 1 to like 14, 15 kids that we had on the team. So I really enjoyed having these kids around, even though they get on my nerves in the school and everything else. They knuckleheads. But these kids are really, like I said, they're really smart, and they really know the game. And that's, you know, from 1 to 15, that's hard to even pick, because even in tryouts, we had at least like 30, 40 kids at tryouts. You know, don't get me wrong, you know, some of them, you know, wasn't really up to par, but at the same time, it was a great handful of kids that were really, really talented. And it was really hard to really cut some of these kids, because you grow relationships, you know, even outside of school and outside of sports. You know, I'm on a game with the kids sometimes on Fortnite and everything else. You know, they wild on there. You know, it gets wild on there. But like I said, you grow relationships with them. So other than that, this year was a pretty good year. So I think next year is going to be a really good year for sure. So thank you.
Trotwood-Madison Schools Board of Education recognizes Anthony Rendner. And for the players, Trotwood-Madison City School Board of Education recognizes Kenyon Buford. He is officially smooth, everybody. All right, Donovan Harden. Donovan Gales. Titus Hogue. Hagen. Thank you. Timothy Carpenter III. Michael Smith III. Iman Rogers. Oh, Michael Smith is here. Oh, I didn't see him coming from back there. Congratulations. Congratulations. Darion Owens. Cameron Ferguson. Marquise Rutherford. Congratulations. Kanaz Smith. Inez. Congratulations. Marlon Howard Jr. And Javen Vaughn. Are the parents here? If you are, come on up. Let's get a group photo.
Miss Allen, Miss you. All right, I think we got everybody there. On three. 1, 2, 3. Take one more. 1, 2, 3.
Give them all a big round of applause.
All right. And now for our 8th grade boys basketball, whose season was 15-1. And we're going to ask the coach to come up. The Trotwood-Madison City School Board of Education recognizes Dwayne Hansborough for his outstanding coaching, leadership, and guidance during the 2018-2019 basketball season. That's okay. Dwayne is my cousin, and I will certainly roast him for not being here when we get up out of here. All right, but we will recognize the players at this time. Delamar Blanton. You said that, yeah. Elijah Wingard. All right. Thank you very much. Congratulations. And please stay. There are refreshments across the hall that we'd like you to partake of when we're done here. Paul Woodard IV. Ronald White. Demetrius Brooks Jr. Dallas Ware. Hezekiah Hudson Davis. Jeremiah Hudson Davis. Michael Morton. Malik Thomas. Jaden Buchanan. Sean Taylor Jr. Dominique Quails. And Christopher Devons III. Oh, you didn't hear me? Thank you. We also want to take some time out to recognize the cheerleaders and the cheer coaches. Have a seat. Trotwood-Madison City Schools Board of Education would like to recognize Azuri Whitehead for her outstanding leadership and support during the 2018-2019 basketball season.
Hello. I will keep this brief. I haven't seen any of our ladies tonight, but we did have a lot of fun this season cheering on all our boys. Obviously, we just recognized their accomplishments. They did an amazing job, and we were all just really lucky that we could be a small part of their big wins this season. So, go Rams.
Sir, you are definitely a cheerleader. All right. Malaya Broadnax. Okay, here you go. British Reed. Demaria Dennis. Trinity Blanton. Her dad's here. Yes, sir. And Anaya Guerin.
You guys stand right here because we're going to get all your pictures. Okay, we've got two others. Eighth grade cheerleader. Okay? And the cheerleader. All right.
I'm going to take a picture.
We're going to get all the cheerleaders.
Okay.
Get everybody.
All right, we'd also like to recognize the 8th grade cheer coach, Ms. Kimberly Knowles. And 8th grade cheerleaders, Mariah Day. Okay, I'll call them. Brianna Hurd Johnson. Caitlin Ward. Heaven Williamson, Jordan Dunlap, Jade Johnson, and Gabrielle Allen.
Give them all a round of applause. Yes, you should. Yeah, you're
On three. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Let me take one with this guy. On three. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Let's give them all a big round of applause, all right? Okay. Next up, Mr. Michael Andrews will recognize the Ladies Rams High School basketball team. You know what? You're come on up, Mr. Benson. Mr. Benson, we're gonna have you speak, all right? So he's gonna say a few words.
Okay, I'm supposed to recognize the high school girls basketball team, and it's quite an honor for a number of reasons. Back in the 1990s, I was a coach for the high school girls basketball team, and I've always had an affinity for them and the girls sports that I coached here for a number of years. And also wanted to throw out real quick, just before I start with what I'm supposed to do. For those who don't know the history here, or just because you just haven't been here long enough, almost diagonally straight across the hall in there used to be the gym when this was the middle school, and Coach Nia Nolan was a big star here. And then she went on, was a big star in high school. Then she went on, was a star in college, and it's really nice to have her back. By the same token, Coach Render also was a baller back then. Some of y'all might not believe it, but he was a outstanding post player in that gym right over there as well. So it's nice to see all those folks come back, as well as Coach Blanton. It's always good to see our folks do well and then come back and help the next generation. The girls basketball team this year, Lady Rams, undefeated at 14-0 in the GWAC. Outstanding. And including those wins was what I thought was a major milestone. They beat Tip City this year. We hadn't beaten them before. Overall record during the regular season was 19-3. They finished the season at 20-4. Coach Benton won his 100th game this season. Shemaya Lay passed 1,000 points. Shemaya Lay was also named Athlete of the Year in the GWAC South Division. She was first team All GWAC and named All Conference. Corin Millerton, named second team All GWAC American League team. Essence Thornton, named second team All GWAC American League team. Quantasia Huffman, named second team All GWAC American League team. Y'all can applaud. And Coach Benton was named Coach of the Year in the GWAC South Division. Coach Benton was named Coach of the Year in the GWOC South for the 3rd consecutive season.
First of all, I just want to thank everybody for coming out, and I thank the administration and the board for recognizing the young ladies here today. I'm a little biased because we normally don't get this recognition as the girls, and anybody that know me know that I fight for my young ladies to get the same recognition as all the other sports, and even the young men back there. They know that I will fight for these young ladies, just for everybody to say, hey, they doing their thing too. We had a great season. We was number 7 in the state. We won the league for the 3rd year in a row. We was ranked top 10 in the state for 3 years in a row. But those are the things that I'm not most proud of. What I'm most proud of is every year my seniors go to school. Every year, I've been here 6 years, all my seniors have went to school on scholarship at every level. This year I have 3 seniors, and they total close to over $500,000 in scholarship money for various schools that they're going to. They're not here today, but, and that's, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. We can win leagues and we can win games and all that, and that's fun, but to see the young ladies and the young men go to school and further their education, their athletic goals, that's what it's all about. Just real quick, I have 2 young ladies that played for me, graduated in 2014. One of them is graduating next week from Wright State, and she has been accepted into the medical profession at Notre Dame University, Christy Jewell. And then I have another one that's at Xavier University in New Orleans, and she's graduating also in the medical field, and she's been accepted in her doctorate program in the medical field. So those are Trotwood alumni. That's Ram Nation. That's what Ram Nation's about. These 2 young ladies, we have a group of girls, but these 2 young ladies right here, they're here today. It's ironic because they're going to be my senior leadership next year. So they with me right now, so they know how I roll. They've been with me 4 years, so I'm looking forward to what they're going to do next year, getting ready for college and playing basketball. I think I said enough, Madam President.
It is your show, yeah, because we are so proud. The board, the district as a whole, we are so proud of you young women. We're so proud student athletes, not only on the court, but in the classroom. So again, you represent Trotwood well. Thank you so much.
Oh, team GPA is over 3.4. Team GPA. Oh, let me say this. Mr. Andrews came back and helped me coach, was it 3 years ago? With H&M? So he gave me his expertise, and I learned a lot from Mr. Andrews. That 1 year he coached. I'm going to take credit for Nia Nolan. I brought her back as a coach, and I coached Anthony Render in the 7th and 8th grade too, so I'm going to take credit for him too.
Okay, Trotwood-Madison City Schools Certificate of Recognition. Trotwood-Madison City Schools Board of Education recognizes Hank Benton for his outstanding coaching, leadership, and guidance during the 1918, I'm sorry, wow. Aging myself. 2018-2019 girls basketball season. Congratulations. The coaches, I'll just name the other coaches. Coach Carrie Ivy, Coach Larry Barnes, Coach Asia Ingram, and Coach Tobet Pleasant Brown. Okay, for the players, Nasia Smith, Heaven Gooden, Essence Roper Thornton, Kayla Houston, Kaylin Relaford, India Ahmad, Sparkle Lay, Amaya Dixie, Goddess McIntyre, Corin Millerton, Shemaya Lay, and Quantasia Huffman.
Let's give the girls a big round of applause. If the parents are here, please come on up. We'll take the photo for you. Can we squeeze in a little bit, girls? Come on, front.
All right, on three. 1, 2, 3. Do one more. 1, 2, 3.
Next, we'd like to recognize the boys' high school basketball team, and that will be presented by the Honorable Vanessa Jeter Freeman and myself.
For the boys, 2018-2019 state champions, they were 28-2, Trotwood record with the number of wins. GWAC champions 4 straight years. In fact, I was sitting in the stands and people thought we had won it the years before because you all played just that well. And 315 total points scored, which is a new OSHA singles. 3,000. I'm sorry. Do I have on my glasses? 3,015 total points scored, which is the new OSHA single season state record. An average of 100.5 points per game. GWAC Coach of the Year, the 94th straight year. Cox Media Division II Coach of the Year. Amari Davis. Oh, there's a lot after his name. First team All-State Division II Player of the Year, Southwest Division Player of the Year, Coaches Association Player of the Year, All GWAT Team North-South All-Star, Ohio, Kentucky All-Star, and Game MVP, Final Four All-Tournament Team, Trotwood all-time leading scorer over 2,300 points. Carl Blanton, third team All-State, upperclassman of the year, District 15, first team GWAC, second team Southwest Ohio District. Malachi Matthews, second team GWAC. Sam Anderson, second team GWAC, District 15, all underclassmen team. And those are the highlights of our team. And now we will have our coaches come up. Whatever.
Any of our coaches? Okay, not a problem. Yeah, we're gonna give the coaches the floor. Yeah, and let's give the coaches, yeah.
Well, first of all, we do want to say thanks to the Board of Education. Thanks to our leadership here at Trotwood, both at central office here in our leadership and our building and at the junior high. As you can see and hear by the things that we're honoring and recognizing tonight, we have a tradition or a little bit of a history of success, and not just on the boys' side, but also the girls. So, Hank, did you hear that back there? Yes, sir. All right, my man. All right. So we're just proud to be here. We're proud that we're getting an opportunity to be recognized for all the hard work of the young men that we're going to bring up here. But we also can't do this without a lot of adults. A lot of adults carry the torch. And the first group of adults that are sitting here in the audience that we need to make sure we recognize with a round of applause is our parents. Our schedules are hectic. We play a lot of games. We practice a ton. We practice on non-traditional days sometimes because that's what the schedule requires, but it's our parents who get our young men to and from where they need to be. It's our parents who make sure that they recognize and honor our young men. It's our parents who make sure that a lot of things get done, that homework gets done at night in a hectic schedule, that things get turned in the school day the next day. So our parents, we really appreciate what you do, so thank you. For our coaching staff, couldn't have a better group of guys. Could not have a better group of guys. A lot can be said individually about them, but I think what speaks best of them is their loyalty to Trotwood and their loyalty and commitment to the young people of Trotwood. And not just Trotwood basketball, but all of the young people at Trotwood. These guys go out of their way to make sure that there is success on every level, and not just on the court, not just at practice. They're constantly checking grades. They're constantly going to the classrooms and making sure that things are okay. They're constantly emailing or texting me talking about we need to take care of this or this later. This is what's happened. Their constant communication is what keeps us bonded as a group, not just as coaches, but as our young men and as they travel through those age groups. So I appreciate you guys more than you'll ever know. As far as our team, I think you guys heard a lot of the accolades. A couple of things that I'm just going to hone in on because I think people let it get by them a little bit. We focus so much on the winning. We focus so much on 28-2 and a state championship. We sometimes forget that we have pushed really hard to get that trophy, not just this year, but multiple years past. And it wasn't just last year or the year before because we made it to the Final Four. This was a culture that we had to build from the ground up because we wanted to do it essentially a non-traditional way. We wanted to do it our way. We didn't want to play the way other teams played. We didn't want to hinder our athletes from being great athletes. And so we truly had to build the culture. And so we're thankful that we got to the mountaintop and we got to carry the gold back down and show everybody. And we're going to keep showing everybody. All right, we are state champs until this time next year. So we're proud of that. But we did it our way. And by doing it our way, we do hold the single season record for most points scored in OHSAA's 97-year history. We are also the third leading Final Four scoring team in the history of the OHSAA. We broke that record this year as well. So again, that says a lot about what our guys do. And it's funny because obviously I would get a lot of flack that, Coach Rock is running up the score on teams and they're continuing to do X, Y, and Z. What I've tried to tell people, and I hope this sinks in, our guys just want to play basketball. And it didn't matter whether I subbed or not. When I brought freshmen in who had played earlier in the JV game, guess what they wanted to do? They wanted to play basketball. Guess what our parents wanted to see them do? Play basketball. Nobody came there to watch us hold the ball just because we were up 25. If you don't want us to score 100, stop us. Stop us. Right? I had to get that out. I've been holding on to that for a couple of years, actually. For a couple of years, I've been holding on to that. If you don't like the way Trotwood plays, stop us. But until then, we're going to walk around with our gold trophy, fellas. All right? We're going to walk around with it. Is it okay if I at least bring the young man out?
What we'd like you to do, actually, Coach Rock, is to bring your team up and introduce them. And if you'd like to say a few words about them, and please do, okay?
Absolutely.
And introduce the coaches as well.
Absolutely. So, fellas, if you could come up, please. Come on, don't be shy now. You all were back there talking earlier. So while they're coming up, I do want to introduce our coaches individually. Our freshman coach this season, who I think would probably tell you if you talk to him, he learned a lot. He learned a lot about the game. He learned a lot about the moving parts of the game. And he learned that it wasn't just about showing up on Friday nights and Saturday nights and coaching during the game. So Carl Blanton, who did a great job with us. Trotwood alum, of course. Everybody knows how great Carl was, so we ain't going to talk about that. The legend. The legend. Our junior varsity coach, Coach Smith. Coach Smith has been a staple in this program, and Coach Smith has been the guy who's been willing to do whatever we needed him to do whenever we needed him to do it. And when he and I talked this year about what it should look like, what his role could be or should be before the season got started, one of the things that I wanted to make sure of the head coach is that he could spend time with his family watching his son play junior high basketball. That was not going to be possible most nights if he was coaching at the varsity assistant level as he had been doing. So some people would come to me and like, why'd you do that to Coach Smith? Why'd you demote Coach Smith? We didn't demote Coach Smith. Coach Smith made a conscious decision to do what's right by his family, which no one should ever take for granted. I'm so happy about having Coach Smith on our staff. Coach Spoon is what we always call him, Dion Witherspoon. Dion, this is his first year with us. Coach Spoon brought a ton of experience to us. Brought a ton of experience to us. And one thing about Coach Spoon, man, he's dependable, he's loyal, and he loves our young men at Trotwood-Madison. I promise you he does. Coach Spoon jumped into a new role, and I'm not sure he knew what he was getting himself into, but he handled it well, and we couldn't have accomplished what we did without a guy like him. So thank you, Coach. Our last assistant is actually a Trotwood retread. We brought Tony in. When I got hired here, I brought Tony in as our JV coach, and he did a great job kind of working with our young men, and he had an opportunity to go somewhere else and be a head coach. And at the end of the day, if your aspirations are to be a head coach, no one should hold you back from that. So Coach Tony left us for a few years, and then he realized we were still the best thing going, so he wanted to come back. So we appreciate everything that he's done. Tony really is a big part of my eyes and ears during game nights. He really is, and I lean on him a ton during practices, during game nights. I think for me, the best thing that I can say about Tony has nothing to do with basketball. Tony has always been an inspiration to me. I'm getting emotional. He's always been there when I was in trouble, when I wasn't doing things the way I needed to. He's been there. And when I went through some tough times, that guy was there. He does the same thing for these guys, man. He does the same thing for them. He brings that same intensity, that same emotion. You think he's a guy who doesn't care, but at the end of the day, he'll do whatever he can for you. So thanks, Tom.
give the coaches a huge round of applause. Thank you, coaches. And the Board of Education wants to recognize our coaches for their achievement, for their commitment, for their dedication. You know, there's a saying, the leaders determine the speed of the pack. We have the leaders. And the Trotwood-Madison City Schools Certificate of Recognition, Trotwood-Madison City School Board of Education recognizes Coach Rocky Rockhold for its outstanding coaching, leadership, and guidance during the 2018-19 basketball season. Let's give him a hand. Everybody's hand, because I'm gonna recognize each coach. All right. And again, the certificates are the same, but I'd like Mr. Carl Blanton, Sr. Thank you so much. Tony Clemens, Coach. Thank you. Coach Quentin Smith. And Coach Dion Weatherspoon. Thank you so much.
So we'll dive into players now, and again, these guys had a special year. These guys are guys that they were willing to do whatever we asked of them, and I think they finally got their just due back in March, and so we're just super proud of each guy. You heard all of the individual accolades. There are probably more. I probably missed some when I sent that in. Some of these guys have just had not only great careers for these seniors, but great seasons and a great couple of seasons for our underclassmen. So first guy we're going to bring up is Sam Anderson. Thank you, sir. Coach Blanton is continuing to say he's going to beat Sammy up.
I'm going to read this, okay? So
Okay.
every player is getting recognized from the Board of Education. And the Trotwood-Madison City Schools Certificate of Recognition. Trotwood-Madison City School Board of Education recognizes Sammy Anderson for his participation, sportsmanship, and outstanding achievement in basketball during the 2018-19 season. Thank you so much.
Carl Blanton, Jr. Tamir Blanton. Come on, Dad, take care of that. Amari Davis. Terrence Gates, Jr. Keontae Hughley. Dylan Heflin. Sellers Little. Malachi Matthews. Congratulations. I like the cut, Mally. I don't care what they say. Carter Mims. Dayla Morgan. This young man is not here, but DeMonte Ragland. And I trust you, Randy. Justin Stevens. James Zachary. I don't think James was here either. Our manager, Natasha Tobler.
And our board representative.
That's right. So I know I didn't say something about each young man, but I will say Natasha is a very valuable part of our team, and I know sometimes people overlook that because she doesn't get to put on a jersey and doesn't get to walk out on the floor. But none of these guys would get to put on jerseys if it wasn't for her either, because she takes care of them from start to finish, and she's done it for 2 years now. She's done it without me having a single worry about whether uniforms are ready, whether they've been passed out, whether they've been collected. She takes care of all that, and she takes her responsibilities very serious. As Natasha moves forward, she's going to carry that attitude into her adult life, and she's going to be amazing. Someday, if I'm fortunate enough to work that long, I'm probably going to end up working for Natasha. So, thank you. Our trainer, who is not here, CJ. So we do want to make sure we remember CJ is one of the guys who keeps all these young men healthy going throughout the strenuous and stresses of the year that we have. So again, board, thank you very much. Those of you in the community that are here to see our young men and recognize them today, thank you very much as well.
Let's give our team a just say, okay, because we have any cheerleaders in the audience. We want to recognize the cheerleaders. Okay? No, we don't have the cheerleaders? Okay. Well, we also have certificates for the cheerleaders, and I would like to just recognize them by name if we could, just so that, again, we don't miss anyone. The Trotwood-Madison City Schools Certificate of Recognition. Trotwood-Madison City School Board of Education recognizes Brittany Foster for her outstanding leadership and support during the 2018-19 boys basketball season. And that is their coach, the cheer coach. Cheer coach also, Melissa Venison. Okay. And the cheerleaders, Taylor Smith, Jolanda Sly, Amaya Nellums, Renee Johnson, Aaliyah Holloway, Naya Harris, Dream Cobbler, Iris Brown. Let's give them a hand. And if there are any parents, please come up. We're going to get a group photo, and then we're going to all have refreshments and have a little nice celebration in our with refreshments. All right? Parents, please come up, and we'll just kind of form lines, guys, or kind of squeeze in tight, parents.
Make sure I can see everybody. All right, on the count of three here. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Hold tight. Everyone take one here. All right. All right, on 3.
wait a minute. I didn't say,
Next time, we're taking these chairs over there.
wouldn't that be funny?
Oh my God, just sitting there. Hey.
Okay, just a second.
Is this our young man?
She
All
can't
right.
go. I'm gonna text her and see if she can go.
Congratulations.
Wow, that was a long time. I was so
I
thirsty.
know, I'm like, let me just sit down for like a second and get some water.
Oh, we didn't recognize. Oh, he came later.
Yeah. Okay, let me go.
There was a note that Mr. Schneer should drop. Okay, that was Mr. Schneer. I saw it drop and then pointed it out.
Yes. And you know what we're gonna do, right? We can stand right in front of here. We'll put you in the middle. Grandma? Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Janice.
Sorry, my blood sugar is low. I saw it. Don't worry, I'm waiting on it. Where's the puncher?
How are you doing?
All right, guys, on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. We get one more. 1, 2, 3. Let me zoom in on you one time. 1, 2, 3. All right, thanks.
Don't be asking for no supplemental contract.
We recognized him at community time. I asked him, did he want to speak? He said,
Oh, no.
so he's still right there.
Oh, I have it, okay. Okay, yeah.
So yeah, brownies. There's brownies, there's cookies, there's all kinds of great
I
things.
saw it on TV. Didn't realize it was from Trotwood. I missed the part where I saw, the story, and I'm like, oh
We are so honored to have you.
Understand.
Thank you for your help.
And so did you learn what the 911 and all that from school, or you just read about it? And that was
Well, and this screen, I don't think this screen came up last time.
And this is your email password.
Oh, okay.
This is the password you use to get your email.
I do remember it.
We need to set these computers so they just don't go to sleep.
Okay, we got to this page, I think.
Hey, Miss Moore.
Oh, can you airdrop them to me too?
Yeah. Let me find. I took like 50 or 60, like a lot of handshakes and stuff. But I'm gonna send.
Oh, you don't have to send me all of them.
Yeah, I'm
Just a
gonna
few.
send the groups.
All right. Here we go. Thank you. I just get sick.
Oh, you know what? Can we walk out there because this room is weird.
Are you?
Look at this. Oh, but I'm on Wi-Fi. So
Yeah,
I'm good,
yeah,
right?
yep,
Okay.
we should be good.
Am I set up for the environment and
Yeah,
everything?
let's, so it would, oh, you're still. Trying to remember how to do this.
Oh, go ahead and try it.
Yeah,
because
let
it
me
might
just
just
pick.
work. Yeah.
We'll just try this one. From
Yep, there you go. Yeah, you can send it.
Okay, so let me, do you want me to send all 50 or 60?
Yeah, just the
Okay, all right.
That sugar cookie was good. Absolutely. I just saw her at the funeral for Dixie Allen.
Yeah, that's my
Is it? She was one of my favorite teachers. Hey, I got plenty cousin aunts.
Really? Well, that's cool. There you go. Yeah, no problem. You want me to send them to you?
Oh yeah. Mhm.
There you go. Hold on just a second.
Okay. Got it.
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is there any fruit over there? No.
Cookies, brownies, no food.
I've been trying to give them up.
What's that?
Coke Zero.
Oh.
Are you gone? Okay. Take care.
I'm trying to give them
Come
up.
on, girl. All right, you be careful up there. Okay.
Who does that?
It's not good for you.
So what? They'll tell you it's good for you. They change it all.
You know what else ain't good for you? Everything.
And that's what I said. And then they'll come back and say, you know what's good for you? Coke Zero. And then you'll be like, oh, I gave it up. You know what's good? Because they said eggs were bad. Now they're good. Caffeine was bad. Now it's good.
I'm doing like a half of one a day.
Why? Just do what you want. That's crazy to me. Just do what you want to do.
Don't worry about me.
He did that just like 2.5, what, a week.
That was it. That's all I need.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do that.
I become an angry person.
Ugh, I can't imagine just drinking. I need to eat. Whew, okay.
Oh my God, that was so long.
It was. That was a long time standing there. But I think there's not much left, right? That might be it.
The executive
We got
session.
we got some reports.
Treasurer's report, superintendent.
But it should be a consent agenda.
Did she change it?
She said she was. Let me see. Oh no, the consent agenda is for the regular meeting, not the work session.
Yeah, because today's they will talk about all of it, and then can go to the consent.
Myron, they got rid of Coke Zero.
What?
No, they did. I
told
just,
them?
Diet Coke.
Oh gosh, that is a whole different ballgame.
Dang, got it.
Woo!
what kind of cake did you make?
Lemon cream cheese.
Where's it at?
In there.
For what? Whose birthday?
It wasn't a birthday, so confession.
It's good for the soul.
Okay.
I'm always late turning in my receipts and stuff.
Okay.
So it was It wasn't a bribe with him or anything. It was just a, I'm so sorry.
I was like, that's probably a bribe. I consider it a bribe. That's okay. That works.
Are the recordings?
Oh, wait, the meeting said.
She didn't get the whole cake. Otherwise, you all wouldn't have gotten anything. So it's not a bribe,
Oh, I
right?
should have got a brownie then. There's Dawn, so I
All right, you're gonna be on the news.
Bribing people.
You're gonna be on the news
With cake.
with cake.
I better shut up.
Oh my God. Here come the records request.
Anything though, in return.
So,
I'm gonna do it. I have to be hour, how long I do it? Hour and a half.
Your document about the friend.
Roll through it.
I just glanced over, I didn't get to get into it, but what I am gonna get into. I was just happening to program finance, and I'm looking, at grandma still in this. And so I was like, I need to look up some of these grades and see what you have. And so I'm looking through like, so.
That's what I've been saying. That's the one thing I've been saying.
So I think it's been really true. We need to kind of talk about, I need you to tell me what the plan was. What the plan was, and what this says this. Why are you using this?
That was wonderful.
I just couldn't hear it.
Very nice.
All right, we're gonna reconvene. Next item up. I need a motion to enter into executive session to discuss the employment of a public employee or public employees.
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved, and we have a second. Any questions? Being none, Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Mr. Scares,
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mrs. Judah Freeman,
Yes.
and Miss Moore.
Yes, we will now enter into executive session to discuss the employment of public employees. No action will be taken.
In my purse?
The meet was canceled.
Oh, the meet was canceled?
Yeah.
So it's already raining? Or they just, because of
It's,
the
I
imminent
guess,
weather?
Probably imminent weather. They canceled the meet. I got a text said that. Next year, yeah. So, we'll see on that. I was 16. Yeah, when I was turning 16, like the first couple of years when they did the permits at 15 or whatever. 15 and a half. Yeah. I was when it was 15 and a half. 15 and a half, that was it. And then right the day I was 16, I had all my stuff done, I got my license. Yeah. Really? I've never heard of it. A couple of years ago, they got a Pizza Hut. That's not a chain. And I found with pizza and donuts, especially, man, the mom and pop spots are the best ones. Yeah. You know, so funny, just focus on travel. Always go to those places. Yeah, even when you're a kid, you see my receipts. Like, what kind of receipt is this? Some of those was. You probably get the old school written receipts, huh? That's on carbon copy. Those were the biggest spot. Yeah, they a little sketchy sometimes, so let's see how this works out. Yeah. But my mindset is that like these restaurants are sketchy. Like if you go to the back. Yeah. You never know what's happening. Exactly. This is what make it every great drive home. Two. Monday, Wednesday. That's it. Where? Here. What is it? Moving on top of the night, if they can't get me next week, we can call it. Well, you should. Tracking yesterday. Yeah. My wife was out there to stay right back. Yeah, we were. Have someone already? Really, the season started for track this weekend, it's Roosevelt week. But it was last week. Yeah, yeah. 18 there, They relays didn't have a big deal with them. And they canceled the Friday before, but it still was one team. I don't think it was some teams out there. What was I saying? Roosevelt, Conference, district. So it throws me off because I didn't know there was a Roosevelt. There's a Roosevelt spring. Yeah, it is a Roosevelt day. I was talking about one of the bus drivers one time. I thought we was talking about the same Roosevelt. No, we're talking about two different Roosevelts. Yeah, man. Might be the same guy. Probably is. That's all right. You can't be happy with it. Yeah, he's dead. Moving through. I'm dead. Real? Yeah. My wife went to school. My wife's mother went to school weekend. My mother and sister. My dad told me. Your wife? My sisters. Yeah. And it was my wife's sister. Sister person? I was a principal. Huh? I was a family principal. No. Oh, Howard. Yeah. Principal. Are you on the video? Yeah. I'll be back in the state. Wanted to go, but we got They side, crazy.
We went to the county school, so like the street over, and you just didn't know that was the bad part of town. So I got to like high school here, people talking about it, the south side.
Too many grown men ride BMX bikes, 10 speeds. It's not good enough. It's
It's not bad.
I understand the south side.
Yeah, I live in the country. I live out northeast of this. Completely, I'm surrounded.
Worst experience of my life. We went to play basketball my third year, went down there, lost. They started shaking the bus.
So you're scared.
I've heard some horror stories about South. Like, these dudes were shaking the bus.
There was this big Madison graduate.
Right there in Limestone Street. They were crazy.
You hear about that dumb bike? Like, I went to the game.
I was on the highway.
Yeah, like they locked the door to McDonald's.
My nephew played.
Yes. This is up the McDonald's on Limestone. Yes.
It was like a full out. Oh, it's wrong. It was a brawl.
They locked the
It
door.
was fight for your life. Yes. Yes.
That is crazy.
I got some good friends.
When I was in high school, I used to work at the YMCA in Springfield, which is downtown. It's not really in the best part of town either. And, you know, I lived on the south side of Springfield. I always drove down like South Hill, Spring Street, down to Center Street. And people were like, you know, I tried late at night on the line and not think anything of it because it was just our life.
Yeah, but you know, people do the same thing. I'm being, of course, I'm being.
I'm doing that. I love breath.
I did.
I feel the same way about they do. Like, that's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I was, my family chose, you live on Harvard, you had big money. Back up then,
That was part of it.
before they put all the, stock.
Yeah.
All that, gates, all that stuff, yeah, before they put all that stuff. I thought, when you sit over there and watch, I know this mine was, this mine was good.
That's what we got. Which one is that?
Yeah. What was the street that the lights, they used to have?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was that.
Christmas lights.
It was this house, and they grew, that was lit up like,
amazing.
I mean, it was, and people from all over,
Everybody.
Miami Valley would come on,
Yeah.
would come look at that place.
Right, and you know why they stopped it? Because their neighbors complained.
All right.
They had to stop, the city made them stop.
That was, I mean,
But it was a tradition.
one of the highlights of my childhood.
I remember that house.
Yeah.
You know, excuse me, I still over there on my way to Westbrook.
It's a college. My mother-in-law lives on Corey.
Yeah.
Man, the house over there,
They're huge.
the same exact house on the other side of town, over $250,000.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, my mother-in-law has a 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath house, full basement, old Victorian house, and it's so beautiful. I mean, just walk in,
Southside's very good.
just walk in, and it's all wood and
Architecture, amazing.
I'm sorry.
I'm hoping one of you guys can come to my day, because I was on my way to Westbrook, you know how you turn left in your neighborhood, and you're on the street, there was construction. So as soon as I turned on the street, there was construction, I had to take the first left, and it loops around and just comes right back in the road. On the backside of that loop, just very normal house, all of a sudden it opens up.
Big old mansion.
It's like a mansion sitting there.
It's a Parker's house.
Is that the house? That is crazy. I'm like, is that a funeral home? Is that an office?
This house that Parker didn't build.
That place is
They
amazing.
didn't build it.
Somebody else built it.
So I was brothers know where you was out there.
You know, Mr. Ballard?
Okay, they look like they were
3-4 houses down before.
Right, I'm like, what?
Yeah, yeah. No, everybody's supposed to.
the best.
Yeah.
Well, of course, you know, I call you Mr. Ballard.
Right. Yeah, everybody's still there. The Thomas,
Just Jonas?
yeah.
Right across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to school with Angela and, but yeah, my brother went to school with Thomas.
Yeah, everybody's still there. It's just retirement street now.
Yeah.
It's
police though?
Yeah, the father.
The father, yes. Mhm.
Cause he said, when I see Nelson Jr.'s son, I'm like, what you doing over here? He said he's at his grandparents.
Yeah, but Miss Stoller was my math teacher too.
Yeah.
He was 2 houses down from my mother.
Yeah.
I didn't know all these teachers that I had. Living in Memphis. And then I never missed a lot. When I was in college, I worked at Jefferson. Yeah, and then, we had the YMCA. Remember the YMCA used to run those after school programs? I don't know what happened to that. But, we had all those college kids working in the city, running those programs. And, you know, 'cause Jefferson had that school in the back. Yeah, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
two schools, two buildings. So you were there with either Sampson or Buxton?
Bert Sears,
Bert
first
Sears,
year,
okay.
he was an assistant, and there was a female that was the principal.
Haywood?
Never Haywood, yeah.
She
I
was
had
my-
a sister.
When I started teaching, she was my principal.
At Jeff Haywood.
No,
Oh.
she was at Hickoryville,
Okay.
International Heritage.
Hickory did, yeah. My wife went to Hickory did.
International
My dad
Heritage
did.
Academy.
Yeah, my wife went to I had their
People thought it was a private school.
for English. And that school, with all those, because right there on, what's the street? Euclid. So right there on Euclid, you know, all the cars and buses were parked right
Yeah.
there in the front. The school set up on that hill.
Yeah.
You look at that school, man, it looked like a castle.
Yeah, it was
You know,
huge.
very old building.
I remember when they demolished it.
Yeah. That hurt. Big
Big
castle.
field now.
Yeah, I was in college, man, possibly. That was some school. It was huge, too. You know, that's when, that was good, those schools. You know, one time in this field, there were 800 7 acres. Wow, 800 acres. Just 7 acres. I tried to picture it, and I'm like, is this a locker room? Is this this right here is the cafeteria. That was the front entrance. That was the front entrance. That was the front entrance. Well, when it happened, it was supposed to develop this neighborhood back out here. All of that was supposed to be developed, and it fell through. So that's why when people come to this back, they think it's the front. It's really this is the front. These guys are. So all of the buses came back here. That the bus garage was the gym. That's the only thing that I know. Is the bus garage. So these places like New York City, because when you move from the city, when you move to your neighborhood, you move to your select neighborhood. You go to kids
I do not have a jacket.
Would you like my jacket?
No. Well, no, not yet. Almost there.
Okay, let's pull this up and go from here.
Takes a minute to come
Okay,
up.
yep. Give everybody a minute to pull it up. Okay. We have reconvened out of executive session at 7:49 PM. Next up, treasurer's report.
I have one item this evening, just for information, approval for the meeting minutes from April the 4th, 2019, April the 11th, 2019, April 18th, 2019, and April 29th, 2019. And those minutes are available under the content tab for your perusal.
Okay, and the board is aware that we are going with a new consent agenda. Okay? So a lot of these things that are talked about tonight, they're gonna be all lumped together for the most part, except for some specific items requiring individual approval by the board, and they'll be voted on together as a group. So this is where we do the work, like always. Okay? Thank you, Janice.
And that's, the consent will start on the next.
Yeah. The first,
Well, the 6th.
the 16th will be the consent agenda. Yeah, that'll really take these meetings to a different place. We'll have more time to discuss real pertinent information and not just every little item that comes into the board. Next up, superintendent's report.
That's how you use computer, Janice. So you type. So,
Okay.
let's see. 1 second.
Did you get yours? I got a paper copy.
I have it, thank you. I'll use mine too. Superintendent's item A, resolution to approve the revised 2019-20 school calendar. It includes students' time of day as well as staff dates for our buildings. And one action resolution to approve the revised 2019-2020 school calendar.
I need a motion on superintendent item A.
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and I have a second. Are there any questions or
The action-
concerns?
Yes, the actual start time for the kids are not changing, right?
The actual start time for students are not changing
For any of the buildings.
for any other building, correct? The
So-
only time for staff changes were at the high school and middle school, bringing them in later, than as opposed to 7 o'clock, like 7:45. And the rationale for that, we had many different reasons, but one is to think about the winter weather and making sure our staff members get here. Remember, we did a study of where all our members lived at, and many of our members live miles outside of Trotwood, so we want to make sure they can get to work and safely during the winter months.
What was it before?
7 o'clock.
7
They start
o'clock.
at 7.
Okay.
And so the staff was good with the time
Actually,
change?
I spoke to the administrators, and the building administrators gave me some times and feedback. So that's how the time came from. Like I said, the elementaries hadn't been impacted. It's really the middle school and high school, the only ones that had the time change to reflect more time at the end of the day versus coming in at 7 o'clock in the morning.
The school day's longer.
Same length of time. It just went from 7 o'clock, you put 45 minutes at the end of the day versus at the beginning of the day.
That's the beginning, the start time is what?
7:45, I think I'm looking here. I'm sorry.
7:50?
7:50.
7:50?
For staff, staff or students, Janice, you talking about?
Either one, I just want to.
Students, different time.
7:50?
7:50 staff to 3:20 at middle school and high school.
to
The student time is 8 to 2:30 at both.
I have some questions,
Okay,
or a concern.
okay.
It's been brought to my attention by several teachers at the middle school that the time change might impose something of a hardship or inconvenience on them in terms of child care and some other kind of after-school responsibilities. I'm not sure of the details of exactly why that may or may not be, but I think that there are going to be some comments on the survey that are kind of addressing that. And I think that those should be heard and kind of addressed before we try to finalize this at this point.
So, what I hear you saying, and I'm just trying to understand what you're saying, is some adult people are gonna be impacted personally. I mean, their families. Is
Yes.
that what you're saying?
Yes,
Because we've changed the time,
yes.
okay? And you feel that we should wait until after we look at the surveys to make a decision based on that?
Well, I think they should be considered, yes.
Let me, how much, at the middle school and the high school, what was the old ending time and the old start time?
45 minutes, been 2:45, we got, smooth up 45 minutes, they got it 2:45. 45 minutes would have been 40, but 30, we take it, around, about 2:30, around 2:30.
Yeah, so they would get out at 2:30 and not 3:20.
Okay.
They did before. Now they'll get out at 3:20.
3:20, right.
They get out at 2:30 now.
And they would get out at 3:20.
Right.
Let me ask you a question, and I think, this just goes back to data too. On the inclement weather days or all of those things, what does the attendance look like? And how did that impact the district overall?
Right.
So, if you're making these changes
Right.
so that, for safety concerns.
Right. On days that we had inclement weather or it was excessively cold, our attendance was terrible. Just being honest about it. And that's when we even had conversations around the 2-hour delay. We realized the 2-hour delay, that attendance on the 2-hour delay day was even worse than having a bitterly cold day and having kids come to school. And I think another consideration was, I remember last year, I was having a conversation in regards to students getting out at 2:30, especially the middle school students. Coaches couldn't get to practice until after 4 o'clock. And again, kids were going home to no adult in these homes at 2:30 in the afternoon. And there's no one to supervise them. And that's when we started talking about providing dinner and trying to keep our kids at school so we can get them home later, because we knew there were no parents of our own students in their homes here in town.
And that was a part of the rationale.
And that was a part of the rationale as well, yes.
Well, I know for a fact, if we look at the weather situation, and this is just me talking out loud, I know, it seems like the later it gets, the better the roads are, or the
Correct.
salt is out.
Correct.
I know even in our own parking lots,
Correct.
we have had situations where they weren't clear and we had staff coming in. So that would give them enough time to take care of the general maintenance. There's a huge difference in an hour, a difference an hour makes sometimes.
I like that they're off for Good Friday next year.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So I like that they're off for Good Friday next year.
Mhm.
Any other comments or concerns about the change in the times?
And we run the calendar through the union?
Yeah, that was a part of the calendar was approved a while back, and the calendar itself was approved a while back. I think it was back in,
Right, but we didn't have the time.
we had a time zone, correct.
Which is, so have we discussed with them the times?
I talked to the building principals, I shared with you. I have not
okay.
spoken to the union directly, no. Spoke to the building
So
principals.
we don't have to vote on this tonight, I don't, or do
Well,
we?
it's up for action, but we don't have to approve this tonight, okay? If there are questions, there's already a motion on the floor. So if, again, Mr. Andrews voiced a concern that we do have this district survey out, let's look and see what the responses are on that. And then Ms. Freeman says that, and it makes sense, when we're talking about effective communication, making sure that we have talked to all of our partners, the union, buildings.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if
Yeah, I
that,
totally agree, but I think we also need to get the parents' voice, though, especially for our
Yes.
middle school students going home at 2:30 in the afternoon.
let's do that. Then why don't we already, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So how did we communicate with the parents at the middle school and high school to see if the times work for them?
What we did last year, the 7 o'clock, that was an issue, just knowing it was later. And then we had parents come in this year with the later time. What they were saying it was better from this year. So I know Ella's had some surveys talking about time, and I can get with Ella on the parent surveys, what she had and about time. And we can also then ask, we can survey parents, right? We have a
Right.
couple weeks left in
Yeah.
school.
Do that.
And we can still survey parents.
Yeah,
But I thought the time for the students hasn't changed.
It really, middle school was the last year, middle school was earlier
Okay.
last year.
They got out earlier.
Yes. And one of the things, in thinking about the time, we really wanted to go later for the high school because all the research supports going later for the high school. We couldn't do that because of the way our transportation and grants and things like that were written. So that kind of stopped some of even thinking about going later for high schools.
right. So so it's not the students that are impacted, so I don't even know.
Well, the
Well, we can
teachers.
still do a parent survey, but we didn't impact the times of the students,
But,
did we?
no, what I'm saying, but if we change the time of our staff, then the students got to come out earlier because the time's on the end. Well, some say 7:30. It was a middle school last year when they were getting out.
What time does the middle school get out now? 2:30?
2:30.
Okay, and it
Oh.
says they're gonna get out at 2:30 again.
Right. Some of that was, don't forget, we had some concerns from staff this year around planning early in the morning at 7 o'clock. And that's what sort of planning now is after school and having staff available after school. I remember the conversation now.
So nothing changes for the kids?
No.
Yeah. So if nothing changes for the kids, then why are we doing the parent surveys?
Well, I'm
I
saying,
mean, because this is, what changed on this was teacher time.
teacher time.
So the teachers complained about having to come in too early to plan and
Correct.
complained about having to stay too late to plan.
Well, it was too early this year. I mean, for many of them, they said it was too early. Remember, because the high school's the one that was impacted this year. The middle school had always been at 7. The high school got moved to 7. Remember, they were on different time schedules.
And the concern this year from a lot of the teachers wasn't having to come in too early to plan. It was that everybody had to plan at the same time. And they didn't have any other time during the day for
Planning.
or go to
Well,
restaurants.
what time does school start at the middle school right now?
It starts at 7:15, right?
7:15, not 8 o'clock.
No, right now?
Yeah.
No, 8 o'clock. This year. Last school year, 17,
Yeah, last-
18,
last school
they
year
were
was
early, 7:15.
Okay, so right now, kids are coming in at 7:15. Oh, they're
8
coming in at
o'clock
8
now.
o'clock. All right,
That was a change we made.
all right. And they were getting out at 2:30?
Yeah.
You talking about this, when it was?
17, 18, or
Yeah.
18, 19?
When it was 7:15, they got out at 1:45.
Okay,
And then now, they get out at
2:30.
2:30.
okay. So, the downside, and I just want you to just share with the board, the plus and the minus, okay? And because I want to make sure that everything is really clear before we table anything or
Okay.
move forward with anything. The plus side is, first and foremost, they come in later, and you tell me, why don't you tell me instead
I'll say
of,
plus, the plus side, they come in later, which allows for this, go back and use the winter part. It allows for us, if we do a delay, we really know it's 9:45. When we talk about staff coming in, we can really decide if we're gonna have school or not. And that was one of the challenges, because of having the 7 o'clock with people driving an hour and 15 minutes in was a real challenge for people during the winter time. And that's for our certified staff, not for our classified, but for the teacher staff. Having a later time allows for teachers to be after school to support students after school as well. For those students that are after school, if they need after-school support, it allows for those individuals to be there to support students. The cons, we have a 7 o'clock start, the teacher's out at 2:30. And I think at that point, I think when Ms. Andrews was saying that teachers then would possibly pick up another job or some other income. I know some would also have other family obligations, but you know, what I heard from individuals about having another job, and I share with those individuals, we have opportunities here within our district. Please pick up those opportunities here within the district, because again, we need people to work these after-school programs as well. I think one of the things, again, we can sit down with the union and have a conversation around this, or survey it and see where we go from at a time, but I think you can have staff and split anyway. Some would like earlier, some would like later.
I just think out of common courtesy to our team, I think that we should have a conversation with the union,
Gotcha.
okay? And we are doing this survey for a reason. We want to hear what people have to say, so we don't have to take action on this tonight.
Right.
I think that we can go ahead and put the vote forward and bring this back. If
Gotcha.
everybody is in agreement to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one sticking point for me, I mean, I understand, I see what you're saying, I hear what you're saying, but the one sticking point is when I think about how we, climate and culture in the district, and goal number 5. And so, like this board said, we are only making decisions around how does that help us
Right.
with goal number 5. So, okay, if there are no other questions and comments to come before the board, Mrs. Allen, will you call the roll? Yeah, we're gonna reject this.
Yes. Mr. Scares?
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman?
No.
Mr. Andrews?
Okay, now, what does the yes and the no signify?
Okay.
We can't do that.
Now, here's the motion. The motion's on the floor,
Okay.
okay? The motion is to accept the calendar as the superintendent has suggested and
Okay.
recommended.
Okay.
So if you want to accept the
I got it.
calendar
I got
as it is,
I
you
got it.
may or may not. It's
Okay.
up to you,
Got it.
all right?
Mhm.
So the motion is on the floor.
No.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
No.
And Ms. Moore?
No. Motion does not pass.
Right. Superintendent's item B, renewal of Howell High School Athletic Association's membership for the school year 2019-2020. This is something we do every year. It's a standard practice. We have to get approval of the board to participate in Ohio High School Athletic Association contest for action.
This is standard.
Yes, it is.
This is information. not
Yeah,
action.
it's just, it's information only.
Do we still need
just
to
said
pay
action.
if they're gonna kick us out of GWAT? Why would-
That's Ohio High School, not
Oh.
GWAC.
Okay, all right. Just
Yeah.
long day.
We don't need a vote on this. This is information.
Well, I actually have to sign off and make it a part of our record,
Okay.
so we can actually participate in Ohio High School Athletic Association sports for next year.
So it's incorrect on the agenda.
Yeah, it should be for action.
We've already approved the agenda, though.
Okay, well, I can wait till, I can wait till the next meeting. The,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Superintendent's item C, renewal of the Meta Solutions Master Service Agreement for the school year 2019-2020. Again, this is information, we do this every year as well. This is about our warehouse systems. We use it for student services as well as in the Treasury Department. So it's a Meta Solutions.
They're like a data warehouse.
Data warehouse, like our A site, correct. Superintendent's item G, I can't get into my system. D. The acceptance of the Franklin B. Walter Scholarship Program Award. In the amount of $500 to a teacher, and we also received $100 to cover the substitute cost for the individuals. So it was a total of $600 accepting that award. Superintendent's item E, acceptance of a donation from the Dayton Foundation for the Singers, and this is for their field trip, I believe. And that amount of that donation was $1,000 for the Trotwood Singers trip to New York City from the Trotwood-Madison Educational Fund of the Dayton Foundation. And that's it.
Okay. Keep in mind that we do have an upcoming board retreat on next Thursday.
Right.
So there is an opportunity for,
Action.
yes. Okay, next up, discussion items and updates. Summer work hours.
Right. Ms. Howard, you want to say anything about the summer work hours?
Other than, we gave the information earlier, I can't remember exactly what I'm talking, but we would like to send it out to the staff at this point, working the 410s with the extended weekends. I don't know if you have that in front of you, but we did discuss that earlier in the month, and at this point, we're ready to send that to the staff. So I'm just getting for the information. This is just for 216 for year long.
And also by having it approved by the board, we can then share this information with our public because we have summer school that follows the same 4-day of school. And the reason why it's important because some days you're off on a Monday, other days you may be off on a Friday. You want to get the information out to parents so they understand what goes on. The days the students will not be attending summer school.
Okay, any questions around summer work hours? Being none, SALT, Student Achievement Leadership Team.
Yes, I forward information to the board members in regards to SALT. And actually, I have Mr. Richardson here, and I asked Mr. Richardson, can he kind of say a few things about?
Look, I asked for SALT to be put on, and SALT is actually the Ohio School Board Association team.
Yes, it is. That's why I'm like, why is he talking? Look, I'm like, what, when, did Vanessa, are you working with Mr. Richards? Okay. Yeah, Vanessa is the appointed board
But we
person.
created a SALT team, a SALT
Okay.
group here, and that's the confusion.
Okay.
There is actually a Student Achievement Leadership team that I'm appointed to through the Ohio School Board. And there was a meeting, and I was just gonna give a real quick update, but I'm not gonna even do that, because I'm tired.
Okay, you know what? Can we do that on the 9th?
Yes.
Okay,
Most
and it was for you and
Yeah.
I can tell you my confusion came from, we did all the athletic stuff tonight, and that SALT, that Chuck runs around athletics.
But if you would like to say something, I don't know if we need to deconflict that.
Well, no, let's not, okay? Because you're gonna talk about yours,
Yeah.
the board appointed thing, okay?
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
And I thought it was strictly based on athletics.
Yeah, no.
if that's okay with the board. Okay.
I'm good either way.
Mental health awareness. We will have a presentation around the district SALT initiative. that he's working with the athletes. And I think that's a presentation.
And I don't know if we have to say Trotwood-Madison or something on it, because there really is, I don't know what the rules are on that, you know? Because it created confusion just for us.
Yeah, so why don't we do a presentation, Mr. Richards doing a presentation for the board, and we'll put it in presentation mode.
Okay.
All right. Mental health awareness,
I'm sorry, can I just say something? Did he stay this whole time just to give that presentation?
Oh.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
did not know that.
Can we please afford him some opportunity?
Yeah. Come on up, Mr.
Thanks,
Richards. I'm sorry.
gave us a
I thought you were just hanging out because you were hanging out with us tonight. All right.
Just to give you a brief synopsis on the Trotwood-Madison Student Athlete Leadership Team, also known as the Trotwood-Madison SALT Team. It's comprised of 12 student athletes throughout the high school. And we have 4 students that were here tonight that are part of the group. That's Molly Davis, Justin Stevens, Natasha Tobler, and Leah Holloway, who's not present. But what I did earlier in the school year is I prospected these students by speaking to their head coaches of the programs, and they know those students. There's a criteria, I'm not sure if this opens pass that information or not, but there's a criteria that I asked for when we were prospecting those students. After those students were selected, we went on a trip to New Ohio State University this year to the Ohio High School Athletic Association's Student Athlete Leadership Team event as well there. So I tasked our athletes of getting to know the students that were there and what it is that they took out of it. And then from then on, we meet monthly. We meet monthly every second Wednesday of the month, barring whatever our student athletes commitments are. We meet from 2:45 to 3:45 at teacher time at the high school, and we talk about issues that or anything that they want to see within the Trotwood-Madison athletic department or Trotwood-Madison community. And this group has been very influential in athletics this year. They're the groups came up with the grandma cheering section that you may have seen at the state basketball tournament or the state championship game. They're also the group who instituted the theme nights. And then even when we were looking for apparel deals and such, we bounced ideas off of these young people as well. I can't say enough good things about them because they brought the energy, they brought everything that we needed to know in athletics here at Trotwood-Madison. So I sing their praises more than I can. And today, unfortunately, we got rained out, but we were supposed to volunteer at Westbrook Elementary or Westbrook Village, Westbrook Village for field day. We partnered with Valerie and teacher Ms. Sippel over there, and we were going to have a volunteer opportunity too. So we volunteered at all 3 of the elementary schools as well. So this group of young students, this group of young people, they want to be involved in the community. They want to get out and do other things, and this is a vehicle that we need to get them exposed.
Excellent.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you,
The
John.
random acts of kindness throughout Trotwood-Madison High School, what do
Yes.
they do for that?
Let me just send hi. Dropping in on a teacher and saying hello, saying something that you look nice to them. If you have a bad day, when you come in here, the compliment goes a long way. So those are things that we do. We want to do a faster night with that team, but we never got around to it. And another random act of kindness is we went around to all the elementary schools as well, working with them. So we went back in February and we took a bus and we started at Madison Park. Well, actually, we started at Westbrook, went to the ELC, ended our day at Madison Park. And, what I told our young people is, these students, these elementary school students look up to you. Eventually, they're gonna be you, so set the foundation early, so they can have something to look forward to as well. And I have, and actually, we prospected 15 more students for the 1920 school year, and we are gonna make our announcements or selections next week. So what I did was, back in the fall, gave them a written letter on a letterhead, kind of like me recruiting them to our team. And I delivered those letters to them, and from there on, they were part of our team. We're doing the same thing here next May, and we'll have a big lunch. We have working lunches as well, and that's a incentive of being a part of this. So, and I also talked to Robert Rules Orders, just things that they can learn, so when they transition from Trotwood-Madison to the college or university, they can know already.
What about the freshmen? I noticed you have the seniors, juniors, and sophomore. Is there reasoning for?
Because they've been here, and as far as when we prospected them before, I asked the coaches. So a lot of these kids have been a part of these programs already. So I want to know what the coaches felt that can lead. So we don't discourage freshmen, but that's what we have.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, this is good.
All right, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.
Good information.
You can just hang out with us if you want. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, next item, my computer went to sleep. Mental health awareness. Thanks.
And actually, on that one, it was because they gave a presentation. I'll forward you the information.
Okay.
And the National Alliance of Mental Health provided a presentation, and they had a student there to talk about her experience with mental health at Ohio State and how she got help there and how she's now helping her brother. But one of the interesting things was she said she excelled through school. She went to Pickerington, that won state in track a couple of times, so she was really motivated, but she didn't realize she had, anything. So anyway, we'll talk about that, but I'll give you this information. It's a whole presentation. So what they did at the OSBA SALT team was they had the presentation on mental health. Then they had Will Swartz, our legislative lobbyist, to talk about the proposed funding and House bills that are in place to actually give districts funding to support for mental health. So, okay.
No, Vanessa, you were saying that they saw is the Student Achievement Leadership Team. Well, the SALT here is the Student Athletic Leadership Team.
Oh,
So
it's
it's different.
athletic.
So
Okay.
they don't have to change their name
No.
or anything.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah,
We're
it's
good.
different, okay? All right.
All right.
Yeah, achievement, that's what it was.
Yeah, the other part, mental